Awesome. What's up, Parth? Good to have you on here today. I know we just launched your first Airbnb and wanted to get you on here to ask you a couple questions on just your overall experience. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely, coach. Thanks for having me. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Cool, cool. Well, yeah, first question I would have for you is as you started this journey, I mean, what made you most nervous about getting your first Airbnb before we started working together?
That's a great question, coach. I think what made me very, very nervous was where do I start? Which market do I look into? Which areas? I live in California, and as you know, California is absurdly expensive. And so, you've only been to a few places around where you live and you've traveled to a couple of other places, but oftentimes um you don't think about essentially remotely managing a property. You often think that, hey, I have to be there, I have to be the boots on the ground, and if I'm not there, it's not possible. And because of that, essentially, I was never able to get started on something because real estate just seems like a very, very complicated process. And then starting to think about an Airbnb and all the amenities and how you would kind of go set that up just leads to so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt or FUD where I was never able to take the plunge.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, makes total sense. I know living in California, getting to know like local markets there is just, can give people a completely different perspective and mindset, compared to like investing in the Midwest, where we ended up. So that makes sense there. What I guess, yeah, next question I would have is what do you think would have happened if you tried to pursue that first deal on your own?
Uh, it would have been a gigantic failure. Um, a gigantic failure because I would have overspent. I would not have understood how to analyze a deal. I would not have had a playbook to follow, and I would not have had guidance from, leaders and mentors like both, Coach Charles and Coach Adrian, but also everyone else in the group or the community that's sharing their experiences and helping educate me. And so if I tried to go out and do this myself, I would have had a property where I would have never seen the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of making it an actual investment property.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes total sense there. Cool. Well, yeah, next year, what happened after launch? I know we just recently launched. How long have you been live for?
I have been live for approximately 6 days now. And in
Okay.
6 days, we have, I want to say, 9 or 10 listings that have already come in. If it's okay with you, Coach, I'd love to kind of spend just a minute to kind of talk about my decision criteria on why I started working with you specifically. My wife and I, we own a property here in California. We bought a home and we found out we were pregnant, and obviously it cost us an arm and a leg. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I learned that a home where you're putting all of this money into is not really an asset, it's a liability. And then, started to really think about our why and what we wanted to do. And as a family, we wanted to, not be stuck to that 9 to 5 lifestyle forever. We wanted to have that optionality to be able to travel. And how can we travel, invest in real estate, and make money while we're doing it? And that's kind of what deterred me from long-term rentals and brought me to short-term rentals and Airbnbs. And there's obviously quite a few people on Instagram that advertise this. But you specifically were the one that, reached out to me on a very personal level. There was zero solicitation. It was truly you trying to get to know me. And the more I started to get to know you and the rest of the team, the more and more convinced I got that this was the right move for me and my family. And the way you guys have laid out your entire playbook, um, it's a lot of work, but essentially you kind of broke a big project into small chunks, little milestones that we could hit. And I started talking to you in December. By mid-February, we closed our property, and 2.5 months later, on May 1st, we went live. And now we have 9 or 10 bookings, and there's this whole new excitement that me and my family have, and we want to keep the ball rolling. So hopefully we move on to the next one soon.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. Rich Dad Poor Dad was, yeah, one of the first books that I had read on my journey as well. And I got two little kids and share a similar mindset. So that's cool to hear. Well, awesome, man. I mean, that answers that. Why don't we wrap up with, what part of this process would you say was most valuable to you?
Well, that's a good question. Honestly, I think it's the playbook that you have laid out. Clearly, you're an expert that has numerous properties, but the bite-sized content that you've created, ultimately, if you look at everyone today and the way content is today, content's shorter, attention spans have gotten smaller, and just these short Loom videos of like phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, and for each phase, there's just a few videos to watch, which gives you an entire playbook that you can run with a deal analyzer, with a budget, gives you the right guardrails from how to operate. And that connected with the entire community aspect kind of just takes it over the top, where now not only do you have a playbook that you're learning from, but you're learning from real life experiences, the weekly calls that you do. So I think just the way you guys have structured the program into bite-sized content, the way you have given us carte blanche access to the entire community and yourselves has been really what's kept us motivated and going in this journey.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's great feedback. I appreciate that. I guess, yeah, lastly, what would you say to someone who is thinking about working with us, but they're not sure they're ready?
Uh, you know, you're not ready until you do it. And so if you're thinking about it, you already have the itch, just take the damn plunge. Promise you, you won't regret it.
Awesome, Parth. Appreciate the conversation and excited to see this property continue to grow.
Appreciate you, coach. Thank you.